There are new questions tonight about Donald Trump's plan in Iran after his latest comments about the war. He just spoke to reporters on Air Force One after attending the dignified transfer of 6 U.S. soldiers who were killed by an Iranian drone in Kuwait last week. Trump didn't rule out putting boots on the ground in Iran, saying he would do it, quote, possibly for a very good reason. He also said that he doesn't want the Kurds to go into Iran and, quote, make the war any more complex than it already is. The president also repeatedly offered his opinion that it was Iran and not the United States that bombed an elementary school in southern Iran, while Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth standing right next to him, saying that the U.S. is actually investigating that. Of course, Trump has not provided any evidence to back up his claim. Reuters reports that 2 U.S. officials say the U.S. military investigation indicates that U.S. forces were likely responsible for that deadly strike. All this plays into Trump's confusing mixed messaging on Iran, which is raising even more serious concerns that he is just making it all up as he goes along. Or, as The Atlantic puts it, Trump has lost the plot in Iran. Trump has treated the opening week of the war as an improvisational jazz session, riffing on different analyses, strategies, and end games and conversations with numerous reporters. This is not deliberate strategic ambiguity to throw an adversary off base, but rather a symptom of genuine confusion. Joining us now is Rick Stengel, MS Now political analyst and former Undersecretary of State for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs. Rick, good to have you on the show. If you wanted to give this administration the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what, they launched the war maybe in a haphazard kind of fashion, we are now 7 days into it. Do you have any more clarity about strategy, endgame, any kind of war plan that is emerging that would give you confidence that even after the first initial decapitation strike that we thought was going to be the end-all, be-all, we're somewhere with more clarity at the end of this week?
You know, Eamon, there's an old saying, which is, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. That seems like the strategy in Iran. The president can't articulate whether it's regime change, whether it's about getting rid of nuclear weapons, whether it's about helping Israel. And he seems to be riffing, as the Atlantic said, on all of these different things. By the way, I would say jazz improvisation has a kind of mathematical precision to it. This is kind of cacophony, what he's doing. And it's just very, very, very dangerous. We've never launched such a large war with so little planning and so little strategy. You know, the famous Sun Tzu saying, you know, when you're all about tactics and not about strategy, it's a recipe for disaster. That's what I'm seeing.
I was going to add really quickly to that, Rick, that the Israeli defense minister came out and said that, you know, the Israelis were considering a strike or planning a strike in the summer of this year, of 2026, and it was moved up. And with that moving up, because of the conversation between the Israeli prime minister and President Trump, it was moved up because of the protests that took place in Iran last month. So it really does give you a sense that they weren't even thinking about, the Americans at least, as a result of what the Israelis were considering in the summer, moved this up because they saw a window of opportunity that they wanted to capitalize. But as you were just saying, the idea of launching a war of this magnitude against a country of Iran's magnitude on the whim, based on something that is just happening and being so reactionary, is so disturbing.
So disturbing, and there's so much evidence that Israel is driving this and has driven it. And what's also disturbing is the fact that our interests and Israel's interests are not aligned. We see that every day now. I mean, Israel is bombing the heck out of Lebanon. How is that in America's interest? Israel decapitated that second and third layer of leadership in Iran, and Donald Trump said, well, those were the guys we were looking to take over, and now they're all gone. So there's a lot of incompatibility with our aims, and I think, unfortunately, each side is trying to not talk about that, so it looks like we're aligned, and it's getting us further down the road to who knows what.
Rick, you set atop of the entire U.S. government's messaging apparatus for how we go out into the world as Undersecretary of Public Diplomacy. I want to play some of the ads, messages, clips whatever you call it, that the Trump administration has been putting out there about this conflict and get you to respond about the message that it's sending?
Wake up, Daddy's home.
Welcome home, son.
Strength and honor. Strength and honor.
What will you do without freedom?
Mavericks inbound.
You can't conceive of what I'm capable of. Finishing this fight. Yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
I'm here to fight for truth and justice in the American way.
I am the danger. Time to find out. Maximum effort. Here it comes.
So, Rick, what do you make of that?
That's just straight up propaganda, I gotta say. That is, I mean, invoking Hollywood is just...
I like how it's all like Hollywood A-listers, and then Hegseth made sure he got in there too in the montage.
But I mean, it's pretty juvenile, right? I mean, we're hearkening back to those old images of the U.S. as the ugly American, that, you know, power comes before everything else. Yes, I mean, America's reputation as a kind of technological giant is complementary to this, but to use that technology to kill people is just something that doesn't help the U.S. brand at all, I don't think. And by the way, to go as a friend of the show, I'm going to use this privilege to go back to your final discussion about the people of the administration talking about being a Christian nation. And you know, the thing that they always forget to say is our nation started because of religious freedom. That is one of the core values of American. That First Amendment not only talks about freedom of the press, it talks about the prevention of the establishment of a state religion. That was what is unique about America. That is a core American value.
Rick, I want to ask you a little bit about what the potential national security consequences are outside of the Middle East. And the reason why I ask that is that apparently the Treasury Secretary has decided that in order to combat high gas prices, high oil prices, we are going to relax our sanctions against Russia and say that India can now buy oil from Russia, buy energy from Russia, when previously it was our policy that they could not. Ruben Gallego had a tweet about this where he said something to the effect of, you know, nobody in the White House thought starting the war in the Middle East might affect oil prices. Doy, that's my comment, not his. And that the solution is back off sanctions on Russia while Russia helps Iran target American service members. So beyond the fact that they haven't thought through what their own objective is, I worry that they have not thought through what all of the other ripple effects of this might be and how, like, you know, every time they try to clean up one mess, they might be creating another mess or creating some sort of national security vulnerabilities at the very least.
Yes. And Catherine, the idea that we're relaxing sanctions against Russia while Russia is helping Iran target American troops in the Gulf is just gobsmackingly awful. And it also shows the hypocrisy of our administration, because, of course, they're worried about the midterms. They're worried about gas prices, what they should have thought about before they launched an unprovoked invasion of Iran. And the other, you know, country that you didn't mention is China, right? I mean, China gets so much of its oil from Iran and from the Persian Gulf through the Straits of Hormuz. China is not liking what we're doing in the Middle East. But at the same time, it also gives them a permission structure to say, well, look what the U.S. did in Iran. Why can't we do this in Taiwan? I mean, it's given a permission structure for Vladimir Putin to say, hey, you guys are doing the same thing. And this is just another example of why, you know, this is terrible, not only for American public diplomacy, but for the planet.
Rick, I got to say, I think the Chinese and the Russians have gotten plenty of permission slips from this administration and the Israelis over the last couple of years to get away with whatever they want and just ignore all international norms and rules. Rick Stengel, it's great to see you as always, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on.